pour one out for Vanderbilt baseball. I guess we kind of knew this was coming. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago before we knew it actually was coming. It was a proposition. Didn't know how it was going to go through, stuff like that, but it is. According to Ross Dellinger, friend of this show, obviously, the Transformation Committee, which is the committee that is changing basically everything about the NCAA, chaired by Greg Sankey and the president of, or the athletic director of Ohio University, who was previously at Arkansas. This
feels like it would be a Joe Biden committee more than anything else.
I know,
Go
right?
ahead.
But it is a group of people that seem to actually be doing things that make sense. They are saving the NCAA's life, I suppose. But good things are coming, especially in baseball. They are going to lift restrictions on Olympic sports, scholarship limits, and coaching staff size. Another way to describe these sports are equivalency sports. So the non-full scholarship sports on campus, at the conference's discretion, can take away that limit on coaching staff and scholarship size. Right now, obviously, as you guys know, it's 11.7. Programs around the country have been able to take advantage of that. Vanderbilt being a private school most famously. But in the state of South Carolina, they have a lottery system that pays for scholarships for every college student, and you have to barely have a pulse to get some scholarship money. In the state of Arkansas, you get in-state tuition if you are from a bordering state, and on and on and on. Mississippi doesn't have really anything like that. State has some workarounds, but it's limited. Ole Miss basically has nothing. Not anymore. If this goes through, and I'm not being hyperbolic when I say this, if this goes through, especially Ole Miss and Mississippi State considering conference affiliation and stuff like that, become two of the most attractive jobs in the country. And now I know some fans will say, wait, they already are. They're not. They've got great facilities. Obviously, the brand new one in Starkville. Fan support, money, all that. But the scholarship limitation did restrict how you could build a roster here. Even at Mississippi State, with all their postseason success, there were still limitations. With this gone, you become everything you think you are, because there's nothing working against you anymore. You will have the best facilities. You will have the best fan support. You will be in the best conference, and money is not an issue anymore. That makes the programs here top 5 in the country. And you can build a deeper roster with better players than you could have before, even during State's incredible run over the last few years in the postseason. It's going to get better for you.
I mean, you said it all. This is what we've been saying for years, right? It's what we've been saying this whole time, that if Mississippi State and Ole Miss and could offer the kind of scholarships that Vanderbilt offers, then there would be no reason to choose Vanderbilt. Because now, what are you choosing Vanderbilt for? Obviously, a very good education, but if you're a baseball player, if you're an elite baseball player, I mean, let's be honest with ourselves here. Are you going for the baseball, or are you going for the education? And then in that case, Mississippi State and Ole Miss are going to dominate Vanderbilt. Better stadium, better fan support, better facilities, better everything. And so, yeah, if this goes through the way it's being spelled out for us here, then Vanderbilt should resume to being a middle of the pack. They'll still be a good team. Corbin's a good coach. They'll still recruit well, but their dominance of college baseball, which is taking a hit this year too, will be over.
I have to pause this conversation for a second. This message. Why don't y'all ever talk about USM baseball? Literally 10 minutes ago, we had somebody from the Eagle Hour to talk about Southern Miss baseball.
It hurts.
We have the coach of the team on this show every single week of the baseball season. Every single week. But even if that's not the only thing we do. Oh, you're a jerk. He pranked us.
He trolled us. We've been trolled.
You got me good. You got me so good. Yeah, okay. You jerk. That was good. That was really good. You jerk.
You got us.
This is a great thing. This is a great thing?
Yeah. It's a great thing for Southern Miss too.
Absolutely.
Think about the Sun Belt. I mean, how many schools are going to be willing to fit the bill for full scholarships?
As long as the conference lets them. So the restrictions are going to be at the conference's discretion. Hopefully the Sun Belt says, minimum 11.7, whatever else you feel like paying for.
I feel like the Sun Belt is a good enough baseball conference that they won't do that. They'll want to try to have that competitive advantage.
Gosh, I just got my butt trolled off. You jerk! That was good. That was really, really good. Really good day for baseball in this state. I mean, there's already so much care and attention paid to it. Now there's nothing holding it back. Whenever this gets enacted, somebody asked, when does this get enacted? I don't know. But soon. Soon. Maybe not as early as next year, but soon. Regardless, big, big day. More of your messages, 60187. Let's stay on this just for a second. We'll get to the Nick Saban audio in a little bit. We get one message as a USM fan, rip to the rest of the group of five.
And there'll be some group of five teams that'll I would be, like, off the top of my head, South Alabama, Louisiana Lafayette. Sorry, I had to call y'all that. Some of the private schools like Rice. This might be a chance for Rice to get back in the game a little bit. If they want to fund things. Yeah, if they care to. I don't know. Beyond that, I don't know. But everybody will have some they might allow. What they might do is conference might say, look, you can get a full roster if you can. And that way, and then you just have some schools who are like, okay, we can't do a full roster, but we can go to 18.
Yeah.
We can go to 16. And then, you just sort of find your niche there.
You know what this is going to do as well that I haven't seen anybody mention yet? It's going to send more guys to school. It's going to send more guys that get drafted, and I mean, let's face it. Baseball's a little bit different than football, but there are a lot of guys that are good enough that probably shouldn't go, but can't pay their own way through school. College isn't cheap. I don't know if you guys have realized that, and it keeps getting more and more expensive. Thank you, government, for subsidizing loans. Imagine that. Sorry, more with Gallo tomorrow at 6. But there are a lot of guys that would benefit by going to college, but they can't afford to. If they get 25% of their scholarship paid for, and they're not at Vanderbilt, where they'll pay the rest just because, they got to pay their own way. Not everybody can pay their own way, so they just take the money.
And not everybody's going to MLB.
Yeah.
So that's why you get guys who are taken sometimes in like the 30th round and they get a $30,000 bonus and they go pro, and you're like, what? Why? Why would you do that? Well, they couldn't afford to go to college, and that was $30,000 they didn't have, so they just took it. Now it's going to be like, no, come on in. And, 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, maybe you've turned yourself into a guy who can be, a much higher pick. And if not, well, you got a free college education. And you'll have NIL opportunities while you're here. And that's another thing that Mississippi State and Ole Miss can offer that Vanderbilt cannot, is baseball NIL opportunities.
Yes, that's the next thing.
Huge here in this state. Vanderbilt, I mean, who cares?
So now you've got these, because State has how many players committed that are probably going to go pro?
At least 2 and maybe 4.
And sometimes you get drafted so high that you're going to go regardless.
Right.
But Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Arkansas, LSU, a couple others, there's a chance where you can actually get some NIL money. Some. It's not going to be like football, but some. And your school's going to be paid for. That'll drop the I have to go pro thing, because they get a full scholarship. They get that Austin money. What is it, $6,000, whatever, cost of attendance money.
Yeah. And
a local business going to slip them, $1,000 to be the face of their advertising for the spring. Mm-hmm. That's enticing. This is going to this will change the dynamic. Somebody says just got in the truck, did something happen? So long story short, the NCAA Transformation Committee, which Greg Sankey is a chair of, is allowing at the conference's discretion the scholarship limits on equivalency sports to go away. Baseball, softball, I don't know the golf scholarship situation. So if golf is you only get half scholarships or there's only 6 to give for a team of 12 or whatever, all of that at the conference's discretion can go up. Now, the next layer to this is, will the schools have to add sports? Because Title IX still exists. So if you're going to raise your baseball scholarship limit to 27 instead of 11.7, softball, maybe that balances out totally, maybe not. There might be a situation where you might see like a diving team show up on some of these SEC campuses now just to balance out the sports.
Yeah, just try to figure that out.
Which I'm cool with that.
For
More
baseball,
free school,
what are
whatever.
we talking about? Baseball, we're talking about you got to find basically 15 to 17 scholarships, right? So you can pretty easily dole those out between every other sport: women's golf, women's tennis, softball, women's basketball is all paid for anyway. Women's soccer at Mississippi State. Ole Miss has rifle to fall back on. Volleyball at both schools. You can easily find some more scholarships for these guys.
Mike and Greg
That's the
Bay
thing
seems to think
consider here is
that every time I listen to Gallo for more, like I'm taking a shot at him. I don't know how many people need to hear this. I say that when I bring up anything political, that's not our platform, that's his. So if you want more politics, check out Gallo at 6 tomorrow. It's not a shot at Paul. It's what he does. It's what we don't do. That's all that is. Sorry, hey, Dad. Anyway, Mike concerns me. I'm not taking shots at Gallo when I say check his show out for more politics. That's what he does. Anyway.
Yeah. Also, you can hear about Kevin, the SuperTalk remote pony, on that show. So yeah, I'm interested to see how they do that. And the thing to remember, though, like I was going to say, is just because they can do this, they will do it for baseball. State and Ole Miss will do it for baseball if they're allowed to. They're not necessarily going to do it for women's golf and women's tennis and so on and so forth. But baseball is a moneymaker at those sports, so they'll fully fund them and go from there.
David asks a really interesting question. This is a good one. Fully funded baseball would be awesome. It will allow some kids to go to college that wouldn't otherwise. That being said, there's still a financial issue with youth travel baseball. That's not cheap and eliminates a lot of kids. There is no doubt that keeps people away from baseball because the financial component of having to travel every weekend, a lot of times out of state to get seen, keeps people out of baseball, no doubt. He said maybe colleges will go recruit Dominican Republic. That is fascinating. Because you see it like
there might be
tennis.
An international concept, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I don't know how you scout those guys, though, for college. I mean,
it's hard to
tennis
do.
is a little different because they play so many tournaments and everything. But, like, MLB teams, I mean, I guess that's how you have to do it. You need to develop, like, a system where MLB teams are like, look, this kid's got some talent, but he is so raw beyond what the minors can do. We need him in college. So do you have a guy who's a scout with the Red Sox or the Yankees or the Mets who's like, you guys need to look at this kid? I don't know if it's something that's doable or not.
Well, whenever
talking about somebody who would jump on those opportunities, though.
Yeah. Whenever this gets enacted, if I'm Chris Lemonis, the day my season ends, I'm going on a vacation with my wife and kids for a week. And then I'm hopping on an airplane and going to the DR, and I'm scouting.
Yeah,
I'm scouting. They've got some leagues there that you can go watch, and I'm going to go look for some guys because that opens up a whole new world for college baseball that you don't get otherwise. I mean, I think if I remember correctly, Ole Miss's women's tennis team has one player from America on it. I think, if I remember correctly. I know I looked this up recently. A lot of foreign players on the tennis teams. I mean, this is so much fun to think about. I am. Jeff in Oxnard agrees with you. He said that's an excellent idea. Hey, Dad.
Yeah. I have them every now and then. You got me considering Mississippi State's women's tennis team: Greece, France, Spain, Ontario, Canada, Montreal, Canada, Turin, Italy, and Jonesboro, Arkansas. Traveling the world.
That's incredible. No, I'm not saying baseball needs to do that because they don't, because there's great baseball players around this.
I got to see if
I bet it's
men's
almost
team
identical.
Is Germany, Spain, Bosnia, Austria, Italy, Argentina, Memphis. Shout out to the 901.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Somebody says that's why nobody follows them. That's not true.
That's not true at all.
If every single player, no offense, tennis teams, I'm sorry, this is going to sound condescending. It's not. If every player on the tennis teams at Ole Miss and Mississippi State were from Mississippi, it would change nothing about how many people watch them. Not one thing. Sorry. That's just the truth.
Not a fan of all these international players occupying spots American students could have. If they were better tennis players, they'd have those spots.
Yeah, the coach's job is to win. Win. That's the goal. Also,
come on, guys.
Isn't it the American dream to have somebody from Spain come here and get college paid for and then live here after college? It sounds like the melting pot of the world to me. I don't know. Anyway, baseball's not going to become that, but
no.
But it at least opens up the door to go international and get some of these elite level
players. Might see
players.
some more international prospects. That's an interesting point.